ഹലോ ആൻഡ് വെൽക്കം ടു ലാംഗ്വേജ് മങ്ക് ആൻഡ് ഹിസ് റാൻഡം തോട്ട്സ്. ഇന്ന് ഞാൻ എൻ്റെ ഒരു ഐലൻഡ് വിസിറ്റിനെ പറ്റിയിട്ടാണ് പറയാൻ പോകുന്നത്. ഐൽ ഓഫ് വൈറ്റ്. വൈറ്റ് എന്നുള്ളത് WIGHT. ഐൽ ഓഫ് വൈറ്റ് എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞൊരു ദ്വീപ്. അത് ഇംഗ്ലീഷ് ചാനലിൽ കിടക്കുന്ന ഒരു ദ്വീപാണ്. ഗ്രേറ്റ് ബ്രിട്ടൻ്റെ തെക്ക് ഭാഗത്തായി സോളൻറ്റ് എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞിട്ടുള്ള ഒരു സ്ട്രെയിറ്റ് അതിനെ കടന്നിട്ട് പോയാലാണ് ഐൽ ഓഫ് വൈറ്റിലെത്തുക. ഐൽ ഓഫ് വൈറ്റിൻ്റെ സൗത്ത് ഇംഗ്ലീഷ് ചാനലാണ്. ഇംഗ്ലീഷുകാരെ പറയുക ഇത് അവരുടെ ഏറ്റവും വലിയ ദ്വീപ് എന്നാണ്. പക്ഷെ അവരൊരു കാര്യം മറക്കുന്നുണ്ട്, ഈ ഇംഗ്ലണ്ട് എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ തന്നെ ഒരു ദ്വീപാണ്. അപ്പോൾ ഒരു ഏറ്റവും വലിയ ദ്വീപ് എന്ന് പറയാനുള്ള അർത്ഥമൊന്നുമില്ല. എനിവേ, അപ്പോൾ ഇത് വളരെ രസകരമായിരുന്നു. ഈ ദ്വീപിലേക്ക് കാറിൽ പോർട്ട്മത്ത് ഹാർബറിൽ പോയിട്ട് കാറ് ഷിപ്പിലേക്ക് ഡ്രൈവ് ചെയ്ത് കയറ്റി അതിനെ മുകളിലത്തേക്ക് അതിനെ ഒരു ലിഫ്റ്റിൽ കയറ്റി അവിടെ ഐൽ ഓഫ് വൈറ്റിലെത്തിയപ്പോൾ വീണ്ടും അത് താഴ്ത്തിക്ക് വന്ന് കാർ ഇറക്കി. ആ കാറിലാണ് ഞങ്ങൾ ഐൽ ഓഫ് വൈറ്റ് മുഴുവൻ ചുറ്റി കണ്ടത്. ആൻഡ് ക്വീൻ വിക്ടോറിയയുടെയും അവരുടെ ഭർത്താവ് ആൽബർട്ടിൻ്റെയും സമ്മർ റിസോർട്ട് ഓസ്ബോൺ എസ്റ്റേറ്റ്, വളരെ വിശാലമായി കിടക്കുന്ന ഒരു അതിമനോഹരമായ ഒരു എസ്റ്റേറ്റാണ്. അതും പിന്നെ നീഡിൽസ് എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞിട്ട് ഇംഗ്ലീഷ് ചാനലിൽ കുത്തനെ നിൽക്കുന്ന പാറകളുടെ ഒരു സങ്കേതമാണ്. അതിൽ നീഡിൽസ് വരാൻ തന്നെ കാരണം അതിലൊരു പാറ ഒരു നീഡിലുമായിട്ട് ഇങ്ങനെ സ്ട്രെയിറ്റ് ആയിട്ട് ഷാർപ്പായിട്ട് നിൽക്കുന്നതുകൊണ്ടാണ്. അപ്പോൾ ഇത് രണ്ടുമാണ് അവിടെ മെയിനായിട്ട് കണ്ടത്. ഞാനതിൻ്റെ ഒരു വീഡിയോ ഉള്ളൂ, ബാക്കിയൊക്കെ ഫോട്ടോസാണ്. ഞാൻ അന്ന് ഒരു 3 വർഷം മുമ്പ് ഇംഗ്ലണ്ടിൽ പോകുന്ന സമയത്ത് ഇങ്ങനെ ഒരു യൂട്യൂബിൽ ഇടുന്ന ഒരു കാര്യം ഓർത്തില്ല. ഇല്ലാന്നുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ ഞാൻ കൂടുതൽ വീഡിയോ എടുക്കുമായിരുന്നു. എല്ലാം ഫോട്ടോസാണ് എടുത്തത്. അപ്പോൾ ഇതിൽ എനിക്ക് ഒരു റിക്വസ്റ്റ് ഉള്ളത്, ഞാൻ ഇംഗ്ലീഷിൽ പറയുന്നത് നിങ്ങൾക്ക് ശ്രദ്ധിച്ച് മനസ്സിലാക്കാൻ ശ്രമിക്കൂ. ബുദ്ധിമുട്ടുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ ക്യാപ്ഷൻസ് ഓൺ ചെയ്താൽ മതി. ഞാൻ പറയുന്നത് അതിൽ താഴത്ത് ക്ലിയറായിട്ട് എഴുതി കാണും. അങ്ങനെ മനസ്സിലാക്കാൻ ശ്രമിക്കൂ. അപ്പോൾ ഞാൻ എൻ്റെ ഐൽ ഓഫ് വൈറ്റ് ടൂറിനെ പറ്റിയിട്ട് ഞാൻ നിങ്ങൾക്ക് പറഞ്ഞു തരാം.
The Isle of Wight is the largest island in UK, also the British claim, though they forgot that UK itself is an island. To the south of the Isle of Wight lay the English Channel, to the north the Solent, a strait between the island and the British mainland. We took off from the Portsmouth harbour, where the ship was ready and waiting. After the car was loaded into the ship, we climbed up the steps onto the deck, and soon the ship began its journey across the Solent. We watched as the land receded slowly from our vision, and settled down to watch the traffic in the waters. We could make out that we were moving at considerable speed from the waves created by our own vessel. As we looked down from the upper deck, there were speedboats, passenger boats, ships and ferries similar to ours, and a hovercraft which moves above the water on a cushion of air created by high-pressure compressors. We had watched the hovercraft earlier as it slid down from land to water and hovered above the water, creating turbulence under the boat. Though we had started before the hover, soon it came abreast and then overtook our vessel, and it was a fascinating sight to watch her as she sped ahead majestically. Hovercrafts were great news when they arrived, but for some reason they didn't catch up, and at the time of taking this video, this was the only hovercraft service left in the world. Soon we came across sailboats, boats which travel with the aid of wind, and with which the explorers like Christopher Columbus, Ferdinand Magellan, Vasco da Gama, Sir Francis Drake, Sir Walter Raleigh, and others discovered new lands during the 15th and 16th century. That's another fascinating history, and you can live the adventure by reading those absolutely riveting adventures. After almost an hour's journey, we started seeing the island of Wight from afar, and gradually we reached the island. The ship anchored at Isle of Wight harbour. We got the car out on the road and started our journey. First stop was the Needles, at the southern end of the island, made famous by Marconi and his experiments with wireless communication. On our way to the seashore, we saw various plaques describing the works of the famous Italian scientist. A young boy was balancing himself inside a bubble floating in a pool, and his father was watching the boy with great thrill, a picture quite different from the worrying glances of parents we are used to in similar circumstances. We walked down the steep steps and reached the shore. This was our first glance of the English Channel. The waters of the English Channel, it was so clear that we could see right down to the bottom of the ocean. From a distance, we could see the rocks stretching well into the sea and the spot from where we were to board the boat. Soon we reached the dock and saw our boat, Skyros, a sleek yellow speedboat. We were all asked to wear their life belts, and soon we were off. The boat gathered speed and headed straight to the rocks, sharp, straight, and spectacular. The name The Needles comes from the fourth rock, which was needle-shaped and known as Lot's wife. The book of Genesis in the Bible records that Lot's wife was turned into a pillar of salt as a punishment for looking back after being told not to when she was fleeing from the destruction of Sodom. The rocks were multicolored, hues of blue, indigo, violet, and brown, and at close range it was a magnificent sight to behold. The rocks were pockmarked with caves, and we were told that some of these caves run deep. Then we reached the lighthouse, a towering structure which used to warn ships of the dangerous rocks. Because most lighthouses are located in remote, isolated, or inaccessible areas on islands and coastlines, it was typical for the work of lighthouse keeper to remain within a family, passing from parents to child, all of whom lived in or near the lighthouse itself. This lighthouse was built in 1860. All lighthouses were automated gradually, but the cabin of the keeper was still visible from the boat. The return trip up the steep slope was rather more strenuous, especially for the elderly. The waters of the English Channel lay silently behind us. After the thrilling boat ride, we wanted to buy a memorabilia, and just like the rocks, the sand too had different shades, and we bought a hexagon-shaped glass bottle with differently colored sands arranged in layers. These natural multicolored sands of Alum Bay have been collected and made into souvenirs since early Victorian times. The bay is unique in having 21 recognized shades of color. We had burgers from McDonald's before heading to Osborne Estate, which was the favorite holiday resort of Queen Victoria and her husband Albert. The route was picturesque, green and lovely, and after parking the car in the allotted space, we entered the Osborne House with its beautifully maintained garden. The house is a mammoth structure overlooking the Solent Straits and surrounded by vast lands and wood. There were vast lands all around the house, and one side it overlooked the Solent Sea, and it was a beautiful sight to watch the sea over the trees. The rooms were large, elegant, and graceful, and the exhibits included weapons of war, portraits of Indian soldiers and kings, and a poster of a film featuring Queen Victoria and her Indian friend Abdul. We didn't have time for further visits and soon returned to the mainland, the boat taking an hour to cross the Solent. We spent the return trip mulling about the splendors of Osborne Estate and the opulence of the royal family at a time when the sun never set on the British Empire. How thoughtlessly they indulged in their hobbies at a time when the source of this opulence, India, was starving.
So that ends my description of the Isle of Wight. We enjoyed it thoroughly. It was a very memorable trip, and the hexagonal bottle I told you about, where I collected different colors of sand, is this one. You can see it clearly, the colors in different types. These are all sands. They have arranged it in layers, in beautiful layers, and packed it so that it doesn't change, it doesn't move. So this was the bottle I bought as a memorabilia from the Needles, and we enjoyed it, and we hope that you too have enjoyed it. Whenever you get a chance to go abroad, to go to UK, don't miss this. It's an exciting trip, and surely you must see that. Till next time, wear your mask, wash your hands frequently with soap, keep a safe social distance, stay fit, stay healthy, and always keep that smile of yours. Bye.